Hey everybody, this is Dan Stolbarger, and it's that time again. It's time for our YouTube to come back up for Middle East updates. And so it's July 2nd, and we're going to look back upon this last week. Again, just a reminder, we've just gotten back from Israel. I'm a bit jet lagged. You wouldn't know that because I'm pumping myself up. So still got a bit of foggy brain, but I think it's too important to put this off. So I want to get back in that routine of a weekly Middle East update. So that's where we're at. And we're going to start with a sober thought. So first of all, just a reminder that the PDF PowerPoint behind me is available just as a link off the YouTube page, okay? But that sober moment is the realization that today marks the 1,000 days since October 7th, okay? Mike Huckabee just kind of released this statement that I thought was too important not to include here. He's urging people to never forget the victims of October 7th. And again, that's 2023, 1,000 days ago. And he says, keep in mind that it was at that time that the Hamas monsters stormed out of Gaza into Israel, massacred 1,200 men and women. They butchered children, they raped the women, they raped the men as well. And they took over 250 captives, hostages, and his words, we should never forget the victims, and we should keep asking the question, how could such a thing happen? 1,000 days. Now we're going to jump into our news bites. Defense Minister Israel Katz has instructed the IDF to prepare to go it alone. And again, operations are always given a title. This new title is Operation Blue and White. And it's the bottom line here is that the IDF is preparing operations in Iran alone. They want to finish the job. So we'll see what happens regarding that, but the preparations are happening. Again, news bites, kind of boom, boom, boom. Judges in Israel are recommending now to drop the bribery charges against Netanyahu. And we'll wait and see how that happens, if that happens, because of the election cycle that's going on. Sad to say, in Colorado, that whole mess with Mamdani and New York and the elections there, it's not over. In fact, it's getting worse. It seems like there's a momentum that's building from the far, far left. Anti-Israeli candidates are only growing with more strength in the Democratic Party. And again, that's the results from Colorado just the other day. Truth spoken here. Iran will not make a deal that the U.S. can accept. You heard it. It's true. They will negotiate, but they will not make a deal that the U.S. can accept. That's the reality. The only question left is how many more, quote, historic handshakes in Doha that will, in a sense, continue to string this out and, again, and give the opportunity for photo ops with Vance. So it's not going to happen. And then reports from Saudi Arabia. Saudis are just today, just read this, an agreement was reached between Iran and the USA for the release of, are you ready? $3 billion from frozen Iranian funds. Wait a second, I thought we weren't going to, $3 billion. And then Congresswoman, one of our faves, right? Rashid Tlaib, Yeah, she's speaking in Michigan, Dearborn, and the crowd is chanting death to America. Did I mention this is in the United States that she's speaking? The crowd is chanting death to America, and she refuses to condemn it. Again, this isn't just an Israel problem. This is a Western civilization problem that we're facing today. Death in America? In Michigan? All right, let's go to our major articles. What's up with Turkey? That's my biggest concern right now. You know, it's like all the smoke and mirrors and everything else. We have to keep our eyes on what's taking place in Turkey. Israel, Bibi Netanyahu is basically saying, hey, we're taking the Turkish President Erdogan's repeated statements seriously. His statements against the Jewish state. Again, Trump mentioned just last week that Turkey was going to get involved in the war. And I thought, what? And he said, yeah, they were going to get involved in the war, but I talked them out of it. They were going to join the Iranian side. Huh? What's going on? They are calling for the destruction of Israel. This isn't the rebirth of the Ottoman Empire, but the reason this is such a concern, obviously, is because of that triad. We already know the intent of Iran. We throw Russia in, and now we throw Turkey in, and now we have Ezekiel 38 and 39. So just keep that in mind. Keep your eyes on Turkey. Sad truth. Truth indeed, and reality. So are you ready? The sad truth is, for the United States, blood, I should back up, oil is thicker than blood. President Trump is justifying his capitulations to Iran by pointing to what? The stock market, the surge, the drop in oil prices, proving once again that it's the economic interest that is dictating now American policy. And this is, again, I'm saying this statement over and over, truth spoken here. Paper ceasefire. Paper. Unfortunately, like the Gaza initiative, the Lebanese agreement that's now written out on paper is just another document that looks impressive on paper, but proves impossible to implement because it rests on a false assumption. And that false assumption is that the terrorist organizations will honor agreements and voluntarily disarm. If Hamas doesn't disarm, if Hezbollah does not disarm, guess what? That's a piece of paper that has no weight whatsoever, even though it may say ceasefire on it. Terrorist organizations survive through ideology, intimidation, military support, and financial support. If you don't cut those off, guess what? That ideology will continue to fester and grow. Whoops. Houthis, they've been quiet for a while. This is an article I just saw that says the Houthis have recently been conducting missile tests specifically designed to improve their range and their accuracy to add it to their arsenal. So again, we're looking at how many different fronts. Israel's saying we face 8 fronts. The 8th now is just a war of words. But listen, you've got the Houthis, you've got Hezbollah, you've got Hamas, you got issues with the West Bank, right? Then we've got Syria, and you count them all up, put Israel in the middle, put a bullseye on them, and there's 8 different fronts that are attacking Israel at this moment, or preparing for that attack. So just add the Houthis to that list. And then I saw this and I said, is this the 1930s or is this today? So take a look. This is why it's important to get the PDF. This is a car that a Jewish woman owns in New York. And note what was left on her windshield. Excuse me. It reads, in case you can't see it, Zionist rats are not welcomed anywhere but Antarctica or hell. Now, this isn't 1930s Germany. This is America in 2026. Anti-Zionism is just the new socially acceptable word for anti-Semitism. We cannot remain silent. And then two more, and they're just slides for you to see. Bottom line is, and we know what scriptures say. That's why I talked about Turkey and Ezekiel 38 and 39. The day is coming, and might be here right now, where we see what Balaam prophesied in the book of Numbers, where he looks out over Israel and he says, the people shall dwell alone and shall not be reckoned among the nations. The day's coming and is truly here that Israel will stand alone. We hope it's not on our watch, but you cannot be blind to what's taking place at this very moment in time. Okay, last thing up, 4th of July is coming up in a couple days. Yeah, you see the 4th of July, fireworks, you see the old city walls with Israel flags and the US flags, and then you see the Ayatollah. And I don't think it's a coincidence, and I wonder what's going to happen. We're a couple days out, but the Ayatollah's funeral is scheduled for the 4th of July. Let that one sink in for a moment. So anyhow, that's our report for this week. We'll be, again, doing our YouTubes on a weekly basis. Once again, there might be a couple times throughout the summer that we're not able to do that. And whenever we're not able to do a video, we still always post a PDF PowerPoint. So that's the bottom line. God bless you. Shalom. Happy 4th.